Good morning, guys. Welcome to the channel. Today I have a 2002 Toyota Tacoma pickup truck, and this is a really nice truck. Really nice. The problem with it though, as you can see, 228,000 miles, which is nothing for this Tacoma. It's just barely getting broken in. But the issue that the customer's having is the shifter. It's extremely loose. Moves all over the place. Now, this loose shifter is a very common issue on the third generation 4Runners from 96 to 02, and also on these first generation Tacomas from 95 to 04. There are 4 bushings underneath the shifter, and the bushings, they disintegrate over time, and then they cause a lot of play in the shifter. On the 2-wheel drive version, there's only 2 bushings, but it's the same part number and everything. Whether you have a 4-wheel drive or a 2-wheel drive, this repair procedure is very similar. So even if yours is a 2-wheel drive, you can watch this video and kind of have an understanding of what's going on and how to fix it. These are the bushings that you'll need to fix this shifter. They're just these blue rubber bushings, and the part number is right here on the paper. So like I said, if your shifter is a 4-wheel drive, then you will need 4 of these. If your shifter is a 2-wheel drive, then you'll just need 2 of these. So let's dive into it, and I'll show you guys how to get these bushings replaced. That way we can fix this. Now, to remove the gear shift lever to get to the bushings, this is the book time labor that it calls for. It calls for 1.6 hours. So the first thing we need to do to get this shifter out, we need to remove these 10mm bolts. So there's one here, there's one here, and then there's the 2 on either side. So get those 4 bolts removed first. So the next thing you're going to want to do is, there is a set screw right here on the 4x4 shifter. So you're going to have to remove that Phillips head screw. And this screw, they do put blue Loctite on it. It came out easy, but just be careful not to strip the head or anything. Now with that screw removed, this knob will completely come off, and you'll need that so that way you can pull off this plastic and the boot and everything. So with that removed, this whole assembly should pop up. Now with all the plastic bezels and everything removed, you can see partially the issue right here. So one of the bushings goes inside here and the other one on the other side. The other 2 go further down in there. So you do have to remove the whole shifter assembly. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the wiring connector right here for the gear shift lever. So I'm going to unplug that and set that out of the way, along with the other wire for the 4x4 shifter. The next thing that you're going to want to do is these gold colored 10mm bolts. So go all around this metal plate and you'll see where they're located. There's one up here, there's another one over there, there's one here, back behind here. Pull the little carpet back, you'll see some back here, and there's one right there. So go along and remove all of those 10mm bolts. What I'm going to do now is take a screwdriver. I'm going to go around the edge of this little plate and pry up on it. So you can see it's already loose. I'm gonna come on the other side. So this whole assembly is loose now. So what we're gonna do now, and you could do this before or after you take out these bolts, it doesn't really matter, but you're gonna wanna take out, at least on this model, take out the center console. Now if you move the driver and passenger seat all the way up, then you have straight access to the bolts that are down there. Looks like this one's already a little bit loose. Now here we are on the passenger side. At this point, the console can just be removed straight out. And the reason that on this one you got to remove the center console is because of this metal plate that won't come out. This whole shifter won't come out unless you pull the console. But now that that's out of the way, let's go underneath the truck and let's disconnect the steering linkage so we can get this whole thing out. Now up underneath the truck here, we're on the driver's side of the truck, and you can see the shift linkage coming down here. And there's a 12 millimeter nut here. So basically you need to detach this portion. And the way that you do that is there's a cotter pin on the back side. There's a cotter pin here on the back side. And so, and with the cotter pin removed, you can slide this out. Don't lose any of the washers. But then this just hangs here. And then this is free. Just one word of caution here when you remove the cotter pin. So there's a washer on this side, but also on the cotter pin side there's another washer. So just make sure to grab that way it doesn't get lost. Alright, now with the steering linkage removed, this whole assembly will just come straight out. Now with the entire shifter removed from the vehicle, we have access to get to the bushings here. And then the other bushings that I was mentioning are down here. And you have to get to it from the underside. So let me show you guys how to disassemble this and get those bushings replaced. So I got the shifter here on the table so we can see it a little better. So this nut right here is a 12 millimeter. And so this is gonna have to be removed first. Now the bolt that's on the other side that the nut screws onto, it won't slide out all the way because it hits on this white plastic, so that's gonna have to be removed so we can get this bolt slid completely out. So I'm gonna undo the Phillips head bolts for the plastic on this shifter here, here, and there, first of all. So with those 3 Phillips screws out of the way, this can move. That way we can access this Phillips screw here. So these 3 here will need to be taken off as well. Now with these Phillips screws out of the way, this piece will move enough to where we can slide this bolt out without it interfering with anything. As you can see now, it's able to come out. And there it is. Now in either end of these metal tubes are where those blue bushings are supposed to go, but as you can see, there's nothing left. They've completely disintegrated. There's no part of them that's even left at all. If yours does have some piece left in there, then you're gonna wanna get that out before you put the new one in. So here's one. And so it just inserts. just like that. And that's all you have to do. And then I'm gonna get the one in on the other side. All right, so the bushings are installed. So I'm gonna take this bolt and put it back into place here. Right. Now before I move on to the other two bushings, I'm just gonna reinstall all of these Phillips head screws that I had to remove. So my only advice when putting this back on would be to make sure, so the button on the top of the shifter, when you push it, it actuates this whole assembly, and then there's a little pin right there that inserts into the plastic part. So just make sure that all of that is lined up properly. Pay attention to that, that way you don't force something and break it. So now here on the underside of the shifter, where the shifter linkage comes down, what you're gonna have to do to get to the other two bushings is remove this boot. And so the way that you do that is take a little screwdriver and push out the metal portion inside until it comes out. These little metal rings. So take these out of all four. So now with these removed, you're able to remove now the rubber boot. And to do that, you basically, the rubber portion that stays on the other side, you gotta kind of push it through. So now what I do is I take a small flathead screwdriver, stick it in here like that.
Tracy is a so that's all I thought. We were talking yesterday. She said, I told your mom that I only gave her one more.
Okay, now what you're gonna do with the flathead screwdriver, stick it through here, and basically you're gonna pop that rubber part out, pull it out straight like that. And don't worry, when you do this, you're not gonna rip the rubber. So, but just go around to all three, pop out the rubber pieces. So now all four corners are loose, so then the rubber part is able to be removed. So just slide it up and out of the way. And with that out of the way, we're able to see where we need to put the other two bushings. See how loose that is? That's where you get all the play in the shifter. So once again, there's a 12mm nut right here, so we're gonna loosen that up. And same thing, slide the rod out, put the bushings in, and put it back together. So with the nut off now, you can push the bolt through, pull it all the way out. Like so. And let's see, any bushing material left? Nope. And does not look like it. So the last two that are left, we can go ahead and get those put in right now. There's one, and there's the other one. So that's it. All right, so now with the mechanism reinstalled, I'm gonna reattach the 12mm nut. All right, so I've went back and I've retightened this nut and I've retightened this one. You can kind of feel how tight they are when you take them off. Try to put them back around the same. So in other words, they should be fairly tight, but not, don't overdo it. Don't go crazy. Now we just gotta reinstall this rubber boot here. Now what you gotta do here is basically put this back in here. So the way I normally do it is, I'm left-handed, so with my right thumb, I hold pressure on the back of the grommet, and then with my left hand with the screwdriver, I go around and force it into place.
Starting issue, I'm still playing with it. I don't know what it is yet. I don't think it's going to be anything major. I'm thinking maybe starting and maybe I'm working on you, being that it's got a lot of my own too. So if you haven't had done, I would start with the starter, you know, just to make safe. If it cracks completely out on you, it's either not going to start, you're going to have to get towed, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's what I'm going to see. Does it ever click?
Now you can take these and put these back in here. Now that's pretty much it for replacing the bushings. Now I just got to get this shifter reinstalled back into the truck. Now before I put the shifter back in, let me just make one thing clear. All the side-to-side play is going to be gone because of the bushings. There will still be a little bit of play this way, and that is simply for the reason that if you look up in here, I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to get to where you can see this. All right, you can see where the metal pin is on the actual shift lever. And it does have a little bit of movement in that white plastic housing or whatever you call it. So there is gonna be still a little bit of play. And that's just the nature of this type of shifter. You're not gonna get 100% no play whatsoever, but it's gonna be vastly improved from before. So let me get it back in. All right, got to get the center console bolts reinstalled. All right, we're not too far from being done. Now all I got to do now is got to get this back installed where it goes. Alright, so back here under the truck, we're ready to reconnect the shift linkage. So make sure the washer is present on one side, slip it through. Then we're gonna place our washer on the other side as well. Next goes the cotter pin. And that's it. All right, guys, so we're done. So let's check it out. So all the side-to-side play is gone, and even the up and down play is a lot better than it was. Shifter feels way better. Feels way better to shift now. And that right there is how you fix a loose shifter on a 2002 Tacoma. Thank you so much for watching.